record.
There we go.
Okay, good to go. I got my lighting.
So my lower back's bother me a little bit from all the yard work today. I think I tweaked something a little bit, but I'll figure it out as we go.
All right, actually, let's,
I know the cat cows are gonna help.
yeah. And show up as you are yoga is very, I would say it's more like therapeutic. It's slower. We're still gonna get a good stretch, but
Okay.
it's like the feel good part instead of like the work part.
Okay.
So. Watch that. Okay, let's go ahead and get ourselves nice and comfortable. You can sit in Sukhasana or another comfortable seated position. And you can start by closing your eyes, keeping your gaze out soft. Resting your hands wherever they feel good. Begin to connect with your breath. Lifting the spine, lifting the chest as much as you can. Rolling the shoulders down the back. And as you breathe in, we're saying a few affirmations. So on your next inhale, take your breath in and repeat, I am calm. Take another inhale in. I calm my body.
I calm my body.
Take your inhale. I calm my body. I am calm.
I calm my body. I am calm.
Now take your breath in. And on your exhale, say, I smile.
I smile.
Take your inhale in. And exhale, I smile.
I smile.
Take one more inhale in. Dwelling in the present moment. Exhale.
In the present
I know
moment.
this is a beautiful moment.
What was that?
It is dwelling in the present moment. I know this is a beautiful moment.
I know it's a beautiful moment.
Now continue breathing at a comfortable pace. I'll go through a few more affirmations. Our theme today is part of the niyamas, which are 5 practices that you embrace in yoga philosophy. And Santosha translates to contentment, acceptance, and gratitude. So all these affirmations are themed around our Santosha, contentment, acceptance, gratitude. So continue to breathe. I am at peace.
I am at peace.
I am grateful for what I have and what I don't have.
I'm grateful for what I have and what I don't.
I learn from the joys and the disappointments life brings me.
I learn from joy and disappointments life brings me.
I honor the good in myself and others.
I honor the good in myself and others.
I refrain from criticism and fault finding.
I refrain from criticism and fault finding.
I enjoy my life, and if I don't, I find ways to change my perspective.
I enjoy my life, and if I don't, I find ways to change my perspective.
My last one is I practice loving kindness and compassion.
I practice loving kindness and compassion.
Might feel good to bring one more smile to your face. And we will start by blinking the eyes open, and we will make our way into our asana practice. So let's come on to our hands and knees, warming up the spine with a few cat-cows. Find your alignment. And we'll start to inhale, dropping the belly, lifting the gaze, curling the tailbone up towards the sky. And then on your exhale, round it into your cat back, pull the navel in, push the floor away from you. Inhale, roll it back into your cow. You can add any little bit of movements that feel good. Swaying tailbone. Making any little adjustments, leaning forward and back. And then on your next exhale, round it back into your cat. Maybe you continue to find that movement. Inhale, roll it back into your cow. And exhale into your cat. And then we'll release. We're going to do some spinal circles. You can start with the rib cage. Big circles going through cat and cow in a little roundabout way. You can get the tailbone, the shoulders into it as well. And if it doesn't add too much confusion, you might even get the head into it as well. But you might need to think about moving in a different direction with the head than you are with the body. So it feels kind of funky. If it feels better to keep the neck still, by all means. Let's go the opposite direction. And then we'll go ahead and find our stillness. Let's warm it up. So we're going to warm up through the wrists and we're going to start with the wrists. So you can start to roll out the wrist one direction. we're almost done with just getting the body kind of warmed up, kinked out before we get the heart rate up. Let's make sure we go the opposite direction too before I just start yapping. And we'll bring the palms of the hands down towards the floor, turning the fingertips back towards the body. And once you get those fingertips spread, pressing the fingers and knuckles to the ground, you can lean back. Might feel good, especially since you did all that yard work, like stretching through those forearms. Now let's go ahead and release. Feels good. You can give them a little shake, and then we'll switch sides. So bring the backs of the hands down to the floor, fingertips still facing you, spreading through those fingers, and you can lean it back. And let's go ahead and release. We will shake the hands out one more time, and let's come back into our tabletop, coming into thread the needle, getting into the thoracic spine here. Let's take the right arm and reach it up and back overhead or up towards the sky. And go ahead and thread it underneath the left arm, coming down onto the right shoulder, right ear. Squaring the hips off of one another. The further you reach your right hand, the deeper your twist is going to be. You can use the left hand out in front of you like a little kickstand to press into your twist a little bit deeper, or you can bring it up overhead. Let's go ahead and, if your arm is up overhead, walk it back in, press back into the floor, and we'll rise it back up. Then we'll switch sides. You can reach and extend the left arm up and back. And go ahead and thread it underneath the right, coming down onto the left shoulder, left ear. And again, stack those hips over one another, taking whatever arm variation feels the best for you. The arm is up overhead, walk it back in. We'll press it back into our tabletop pose. And we're going to start to add a little bit more movement here. So before we really get into it, we're going to do some windshield wipering with the hips. So you can come and sit onto your bottom, bringing the feet out, bent in front of you, and you can make your adjustments here. You can lean it back, placing the hands behind you, and then we'll just drop the hips over, or the knees over to one side, and then the other, really working on the rotation of the hip joint, getting that ready, warming up the hip flexors. And then let's go ahead and make our way back into tabletop. The easiest way is to cross the ankles and then leaning forward, coming over the legs and walking back up. It's funny, it's a fun little transition. And then we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna offer you two variations for this. You can either, and starting with the right leg, you're going to kickstand the right leg back behind you. So in like a donkey kick kind of action. And this might be more than enough engagement in the hip flexor, in the glute. But if you would like to add on and choose the second variation, we're going to take tiger pose. You're going to reach it back for that right foot with the left hand, and then you're just going to kick the foot into the hand, bowing open into a little back bend. Whichever variation works, you still get a lot of engagement in that leg, in that glute. Let's go ahead and release our hold, release our knee back down to the ground. It might feel good to sway the hips, do some more of those spinal rotations on both sides. Just a little funky movement, and then we'll switch into the second side. So finding our tabletop pose and lifting and kicking that left foot up and back behind us, keeping the neck nice and in line with the spine. And if you'd like to add on, you're going to take the right hand, reach it back for the left foot, and you can kick the foot into the hand, and come into a little back bend. Keep engaging in the legs, the glutes. Engaging the core, pressing the floor away from you. And release your hold, or bring that knee back down to the ground. Might feel good to take the cat back or do some more spinal circles. Little counter or that slight back bend. And we'll go ahead and release. And let us walk it out. Oh, we're going to take, just kidding. We're going to take supported side plank. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm jumping way ahead into the flow. So we'll start with the right side. You can plant down through the right hand. Kickstand that right foot out long, extending the left foot down the mat in line with the body and reaching the left arm up towards the sky. Engaging through the core, through the glute, left leg. And it might feel fine to stay right here. That engagement might be all you need. But if that foot feels like it could just float off the floor, let's see if you could just pick it up. And if it feels all right, you can lift it in line with the hip. Keeping it engaged. You can point the toes if you want to make it pretty, or you can flex them back towards the face for added engagement. And that left arm can stay up towards the sky, or you can bring bicep along the ears. Arm up overhead. And let's go ahead and release that left foot back down to the floor. We're going to make a transition into a low lunge on Jnanasana. So if you could get through two ways, you could just throw that left foot up there, or you can lift the leg, trying to balance, focusing your gaze, focusing on the rotation of your hip, coming into your low lunge. And you can stay up on fingertips, or you can make a little bit more space by coming up onto the knee with the palms. Just engage through the core. You might start by lifting up pretty high, nice and focused on the right hip flexor, and letting gravity start to do the work here as we open it up, sinking down a little bit more each time with each breath. Let's go ahead and bring those hands to the floor. We're gonna come into runner's lunge. So you're gonna curl the back toes under. You're gonna lift that back knee off the floor. If you have blocks, this is an excellent place to make space. Otherwise, you can just stay up on fingertips. If you need to, the thigh does not have to be underneath of you. You can toe heel it out a little bit towards the side to make some space. So it's right next to the ribs, right next to the chest. Nice and strong through the legs, pressing into the feet. And you're gonna plant through the hands, and we're gonna step it back into our first downward facing dog. So you might be able to just sweep that left leg back, or you can make as much space as you need to transition into our first downward facing dog of our practice. And you can bend the knees as much as you need to here, lengthen the spine, pressing the chest down towards the thighs, engage the belly here. And over time, the legs might straighten. Squeeze those biceps along the ears. You might notice the arm and the shoulder engagement here. There's an external rotation in the arms, so the forearms should be, the crease of your forearms should be pointing out towards the top of the mat. But there is almost an scooped under shoulder blade here. Make some space between your chin and your chest. And from our Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, we're going to make our way up to the top of our mats. So however you'd like to get there, you can step, block, hop. We will meet in a little transition halfway lift. Nice L shape with the spine parallel with the floor. Taking our inhale here. And exhale, forward fold. This is our first forward fold again. Bend the knees as much as you need to wake up those hamstrings. Might feel good to give yourself a little rub down the backs of your legs. Gretchen and I went for a little hike at our local, I guess it's a state park. I think it's a state park. It's a 7-mile loop, but we only made it 3.5 miles. It's a lot of climbing and hills and roots, and it was beautiful.
No, that's nice.
A couple more breaths here. Letting those hamstrings open up. Come on, they're screaming after that walk. And you can send your weight into your heels. We're going to roll that spine up so you can bend the knees and start to rise up, pressing into the feet, rolling through the spine. Neck and head last to arrive, coming into our Tadasana, mountain pose. And bring your arms down by your sides, palm shining forward. Feet about hip width distance apart. It feels all right. You can keep the feet together, but I've heard a lot and I've read a lot that the hip width distance or a little bit wider really helps lower back pain.
Oh, okay.
It's probably something to do with the anatomy of the hips, you know.
Yeah.
Take a few breaths here. Connecting with our breath, with our bodies. Might notice the soles of our feet. there was a particular affirmation that stuck out to you, you can repeat it out loud or in your head. I can read through them one more time if you need a little refresh. It could have been the simple inhaling, I am calm, I calm my body, and then the exhale, I smile. Or it's, I'm at peace. I'm grateful for what I have and what I don't have. I learn from the joys and the disappointments life brings me. I honor the good in myself and others. I refrain from criticism and fault finding. I enjoy my life, and if I don't, I find ways to change my perspective. And I practice loving kindness and compassion. Part of the beauty of Santosha is you cannot progress on your spiritual journey or the journey of finding inner peace without being content with where you're at, what you have, what you don't have, the acceptance and the gratitude parts of it. And as human beings, it's a constant check of every situation, every moment of how did I react? How did I handle this other person? How did I carry myself in the grocery store? What energy was I putting on? And it's always a practice and it never ends. From our Tadasana, go ahead and bring your hands crossed over one another, over the heart space. This is a wonderful practice for the heart chakra. Take your deep breath into your palms. Exhale, let everything out of your lungs. If you feel like there's any energy any tension that just won't let go, you can physically just flick it off. Go on, just shaking it out. You can shake your legs, you can shake everything at the same time. You can jump up and down if it feels all right. Just getting that old stagnant energy out. We're going to come into Balasana, yogi squats. So we can bring our hands back together at the center of our heart. Then you can wiggle your feet out to the outside edges of the outside edges of your mat. Your heels in, toes out. And we'll go ahead and take our breath in just to reset. And on your exhale, sink those hips down, lengthening the spine, squeezing the glutes. You can use the elbows to press the knees away from each other. Engage the core, lifting to the pelvic floor. We'll add on some twists here. So go ahead and take the right hand, take it to the almost the outside edge of the mat, or as far as you can reach, a little bit past the right knee. You're going to plant down through that right hand as much as you can. You're going to lift the left arm up towards the sky. Try to keep that left knee open. And we'll go ahead and switch. So bring that left hand down and extend the right arm back like that. Get it right. And we'll release, bring the hands back together at the center of the heart. And we're going to come into ragdoll fold. Plant down through the hands, lift the hips up, turning the feet to the long edge of the mat, facing the long edge of the mat. And bending the knees as much as you need to through here. And the ragdoll fold is less about the hamstring stretch and more about releasing the spine, grounding through the crown of the head. And the hands can stay on the floor, or you can grab opposite elbows. And if you are, this is a little food for thought, if you're the kind of person that's always moving, it might be good to practice the stillness of just hanging here. But if you're the kind of person that is always still, maybe adding that swaying, that movement might be the change that you need. But at the end of the day, you choose what you want to do. Swaying the spine, the hips, like a little piece of seaweed in the ocean. Go ahead and release those hands back down to the ground if you haven't done so already. And we will toe heel the feet back together, hip width distance apart. And I'm going to keep fighting my glasses here. We'll go ahead and do a little inhale for a halfway lift. And exhale, plant the palms, step it back into a plank position. We're going to lower the knees here. We're going to try to, how are we going to do this? We're going to do this little funky thing. It might feel really funky, but we're going to bring the hands, their shoulder width distance apart, and line with the shoulders. So you can bring the chin down to the floor. Your butt's in the air, your toes might curl. But now we're going to press into the floor. And we're going to come down onto our belly, scooping it up into the cobra position. You bring your hands in line with the shoulders. If they got kind of misplaced, you're going to press into the tops of the feet and lift the gaze, lift the chest. And go ahead and release it all the way down to the floor. We're going to make our way back up into tabletop pose. We can start with that side, supported side plank, and do the sequence on the second side. So with the left leg, you're going to plank down through the left hand, kickstand left leg, stand the right leg down long, reach the right arm up towards the sky. The turns can still face you. Engage through that core, squeeze the glute, squeeze the thigh. And again, you might feel that foot just start to float right off the floor. And if it feels good, you can lift it a little higher in line with the hip. And if you'd like to add on a little bit more, you can swing that arm, bicep along the ear. Now you have one big long line of energy from your fingertips to your toes. Keep breathing, try not to hold your breath. And go ahead and release that right foot back down to the floor. You're going to take your gaze to the top of your mat, so looking down at the floor. You might be able to start to pick up that right foot, turning it so that you can place it in between the palms. Coming into your Anjaneyasana, low lunge on with the right foot leading. And you can stay up on fingertips, or you can come up making more space on the knees. We'll rise it up. So we're almost making a big square with our legs. And as we start to open it up, you can let gravity start to ease your way down. Engage the core, protect your lower back. And let's go ahead, and we're gonna come into a runner's lunge. So you can bring both those hands down to the floor. You can curl the back toes under, lifting that knee off the ground. And you can toe heel that foot so that the leg is in line with your rib cage. And let's plant down through the hands, and we'll step it back into our downward facing dog. Downward down dog. We're going to lower the knees and come into Balasana, child's pose. So you can come down to bring those big toes together, widen the knees as much as comfortable. And walking the arms down along the mat, resting the forehead. A few more poses before we enter Shavasana. We're going to start to slow it down a little bit more, taking a more restorative approach. And send that breath wherever you feel the most sensation. Continually send it down to the belly. Noticing how your body feels. In classic Balasana. Gentle opening in shoulders. The hips dropping down towards the heels. Ever so slightly. The opening to feel the groin, the inner thigh. Let's go ahead and walk the arms back in. Rise back up into our tabletop pose. Get a little bit deeper into the hips. We're going to come into cow face legs. So we're going to start by bringing the right knee out just a little bit. We're going to cross the left leg, the left knee back behind you. So we're going to make that little triangle with the feet. So we can walk the hands back, coming down onto the hips. And try to ground down through both the hips. So you have to make some adjustments with your feet, can. And keep both the feet nice and flexed here. And try to lengthen through the spine as much as possible. Feels good. You might just take the hands here in Anjali Mudra to have your hands somewhere to focus. And as you start to open up and feeling the lengthening in the hips, you might be able to start to lean it forward, bringing the hands out in front of you. Take your time here. Send that breath into the right hip. And wherever else you feel your sensations. Close your eyes, keep your gaze soft. clenching your jaw, see if you can release it. Soften through the face. If your arms are out in front of you, walk them back in, lift them back up. You can bring the hands behind you so you can lean back to make space to uncross the legs. And you can start by extending them out in front of you. Give them a little wiggle, a little shake. You can do some windshield wiper legs again. Whatever feels good. Kind of like when we come out of pigeon pose, just bring some life back in the legs. Go ahead and jump into the second side. So you can cross at the ankles again, coming back onto all fours. And we'll switch sides. So bringing the left knee just a little bit up in front of, so you can cross the right leg back behind you, making your space, walking the hands back to sit on the hips, trying to ground down both hips. One side might feel very different than the other. Might feel better, might feel worse. This one's my more intense side, so we'll see where I end up. Then you can try to again lengthen out the spine, flex both the feet to keep them nice and active, protect your knees. And again, you can start with the hands and Anjali Mudra out in front of you. Using the breath to help lengthen and sink a little bit deeper. So your inhales help you to lengthen through the body. And your exhales help you to sink and relax into it a little bit more. Finding your edge. Go ahead and walk back up. Bring those hands back behind you. So lean back up.
What's that stretch called again?
Cow face legs.
Say it again.
Cow face legs.
Cow face.
Yes. I don't know if it has anything to do with, you know how I always think of the scene in Bambi when he's on his ice skating and both of his legs cross behind him and they kind of look like this, you know?
Yeah.
Cows have that same thing when their legs cross, when their back legs cross.
Yeah.
That's what I think it's supposed to look like, but I can look into it a little bit more, make sure I'm correct.
Yeah, it's a good stretch.
Oh yeah.
I needed that.
We're gonna make our way all the way down to our backs, getting ready for Shavasana. You can pull the knees into the chest, wide as you need them. You rock back and forth, massage the lower back. give you a couple options to take in or Shavasana. If you would like to take traditional Shavasana, where you just extend it out in corpse pose, laying flat on the floor, you're more than welcome to. But if you would like to take a little bit more of a meditative, optional pose addition, Shavasana, you can come into butterfly, Supta Baddha Konasana with the soles of the feet together, or you can even take legs up the wall if you have some space, and you can quite literally, use your wall. I'm going to use the back of my couch. The easiest way that I like to get into it is to come all the way up to the side of the wall, so getting myself as close as possible, and then I'm just going to lay back and swing my legs up so that I am
Okay,
at the wall. And you might need to make your adjustments there.
that sounds good.
Oh, yeah. And you can come out whenever you want. This is legs at the wall specifically. It's so great for circulation, bringing all that blood back up and around the body. Super calming, super grounding. The breath to let go a little bit more each time, softening through your face, relaxing your jaw. Maybe the tongue comes away from the roof of the mouth. Letting our bodies process everything we've just done. We did move very slow, but we still did quite a bit. deeply in the breath. Back to the present moment. Start by wiggling fingers and toes, rolling out the wrists and the ankles. Reach the arms up overhead for a full body stretch. And whenever you're ready, you might turn to one side, take a little pause. And we can make our way back up into Sukhasana or another comfortable seated position. I'm gonna sit up on my knees. And you can bring your hands in your lap or palm shining up or down, whatever feels good. Close your eyes. Keep your gaze soft. Checking in with yourself. You can bring the hands crossed over one another again, over the heart space. And instead of saying a positive affirmation about yourself, name one thing that you were most grateful for. Thanksgiving and the rest of the holidays coming up, that gratitude is very alive for our family, our friends. Santosha is the perfect addition to practice when it comes to embracing what makes the holidays so special. I don't think I'm more content than when the holidays roll around and I just get to spend time with all of my family. We can bring our hands together at the center of our heart for Anjali Mudra. And I'd like to finish this practice by chanting Om one time. You do not have to participate, but if you'd like to, exhale everything out of your lungs. Inhale deeply to chant, big breath in. Om. And you may bow forward if you'd like. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's great.